Hello and good day. Welcome to our video channel, God's Promises. And today's video will be Genesis 22. Let's get started now. Genesis 22 is a powerful and thought-provoking chapter of the Bible, which tells the story of God testing Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac. Here's a verse-by-verse analysis of the chapter, exploring its meaning and symbolism. Verse 1. After these things God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. This verse establishes the context of the story, telling us that God is testing Abraham. It also shows Abraham's readiness and willingness to answer God's call. Verse 2. He said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. God's command to sacrifice Isaac is a profound test of Abraham's faith, as it requires him to give up the very thing he loves most in the world. The reference to the land of Moriah is significant, as this is the same place where Solomon's temple would later be built, and where Jesus would later be crucified. Verse 3. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Abraham's immediate obedience to God's command is remarkable, and he wastes no time in setting out on the journey to Moriah. Verse 4. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. The fact that it takes 3 days to reach the place of sacrifice adds to the tension and drama of the story, and suggests that Abraham has had plenty of time to reflect on what he is about to do. Verse 5. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. This verse shows that Abraham is still clinging to faith in God's promise, even though he is about to do something that seems to contradict it. He tells his servants that he and Isaac will return, despite the fact that he is planning to offer Isaac as a sacrifice. Verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they went both of them together. This verse is significant because it shows that Isaac is willingly participating in the sacrifice, carrying the wood himself. It also underscores the fact that Abraham is fully prepared to go through with the sacrifice. Verse 7. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father! And he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Isaac's question is poignant and innocent, and serves to increase the emotional intensity of the story. Abraham's response is also notable, as he avoids answering Isaac's question directly. Verse 8. Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went both of them together. This verse is crucial, as it reveals Abraham's faith that God will provide a way out of the sacrifice. It also hints at the ultimate resolution of the story, where God does indeed provide a substitute sacrifice. Verse 9. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. This verse is the climax of the story, where Abraham follows through on his obedience to God's command by binding Isaac and placing him on the altar. The image of a father preparing to sacrifice his own son is deeply disturbing, and it underscores the enormity of the test that Abraham is undergoing. Verse 10. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. The tension of the story reaches a fever pitch in this verse, as Abraham prepares to carry out the unthinkable act of sacrificing his own son. Verse 11. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham! And he said, Here I am. This verse represents the turning point of the story, where God intervenes and stops Abraham from carrying out the sacrifice. Verse 12. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. God's command not to sacrifice Isaac is a relief, but it also provides a clear statement of the purpose of the test, to demonstrate Abraham's faith and obedience. Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. This verse represents the resolution of the story, as God provides a substitute sacrifice in the form of the ram caught in the thicket. The symbolism of the ram is significant, as it prefigures the sacrificial system that would later be established in Israel. Verse 14. So Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord will provide," as it is said to this day, "On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided." This verse emphasizes the importance of the place where the sacrifice was almost carried out, and the idea that God will always provide a way out of difficult situations. In conclusion, Genesis 22 is a powerful and thought-provoking chapter of the Bible, which explores the themes of faith, obedience, and sacrifice. Through the story of Abraham and Isaac, it teaches us about the nature of God's testing, the importance of faith and obedience, and the ultimate provision of a substitute sacrifice. Thank you for watching. Please share with us your favorite Bible verse below in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help our channel grow. Looking forward to see you back here for our next video. Always take good care.